The alarm screamed through every corridor of Orbital Station 9. Administrator pressed his thin, trembling hands against the console, watching the energy shields drop to 15%. His species, were known across the galaxy as peaceful traders and diplomats. They had never prepared for war. Why would they? The Cooperative Council had kept peace for 3,000 years. Until the came. All ships please respond. His voice cracked as he sent another distress signal into the black void of space. We need immediate assistance. They are tearing through our defenses. Around him, the command center filled with panic. A officer, her blue skin pale with fear, shouted coordinates as another bioship fired acidic projectiles at their hull. The navigation stations chittered in their clicking language, abandoning their posts to rush toward the escape pods. 10% shields, someone yelled. Watched the tactical display with growing horror. 5 massive bioships circled the station like predators around wounded prey. Their organic hulls pulsed with sickly green light, and their weapons looked like living organs that spat destruction. 3 civilian transports had tried to flee 20 minutes ago. Their debris now floated in the station's shadow. They had appeared at the edge of Council space 2 months ago. No one knew where they came from. No one could communicate with them. They simply consumed everything in their path, destroying stations and colonies, harvesting resources and leaving nothing behind. The Council military had tried to stop them, but their peaceful nature meant centuries of minimal defense development. They were losing badly. 5% shields. His hands shook so hard he could barely input the final distress code. This was the end. 9 held 2,000 souls from 7 different species. In moments, they would all die. He thought of his offspring back on still in their learning pods. They would never see their father again. Administrator, the officer grabbed his arm. I'm detecting a vessel approaching. Tell them to stay away. It's too dangerous. No, sir. They're responding to our distress call. There, coming straight at the formation. Pulled up the sensor data. 1 ship. A single small vessel against 5 bioships. What fool would attempt such a thing? He accessed the communications channel. Unknown vessel, this is Administrator of Station 9. You must flee. They cannot be stopped by 1 ship. Save yourselves. A calm voice answered. It spoke in perfect council standard, but with an unusual accent that had never heard before. The speaker was female, her tone steady despite the chaos. Station 9, this is Commander of the UNSC. We're here to help. Please direct all civilians to your station's protected core. Seal all outer sections. We'll handle them? You don't understand, these creatures. We understand perfectly, Administrator. Please begin evacuation procedures now. The channel closed, stared at the display, confused and desperate. UNSC, he quickly searched the Council database. No results. Nothing. The ship's design didn't match any known species. It was angular and efficient, covered in strange markings. What species is this? The officer asked. I don't know, the database shows. Human, I've never heard of them. The ship called moved with purpose. It didn't flee or try to circle around. It flew directly toward the formation at a speed that made eyes widen. That velocity would create gravitational forces strong enough to crush most species. Shields 3%. All personnel evacuate outer sections, finally gave the order. Move to the protected core quickly. He watched the display as the small human ship approached the bioships noticed the newcomer and turned their weapons toward it. Acid projectiles and plasma bursts filled the space between them. They dodged with movements so precise they seemed impossible. It spun, rolled, and accelerated in ways that no Council ship could match. Then it fired back. What kind of weapons are those? The officer gasped. Streaks of light erupted from the human ship, but they weren't energy weapons. The sensors showed solid projectiles moving at incredible speeds. The primitive technology somehow punched through the organic armor, creating explosive damage that energy weapons had failed to achieve. "They're using kinetic weapons," whispered, "like ancient warfare. Why would an advanced species use such old technology?" No one had an answer. They simply watched as this unknown ship from an unknown species engaged 5 bioships without hesitation. The human vessel moved through the battle zone like a dancer, never staying still, always firing, always moving. Another transmission came through. This time a male voice, deeper and just as calm. "Station 9, this is Captain Menu of the... We're going to eliminate the immediate threat, then we'll dock and provide medical assistance. How many wounded do you have?" "Captain, we have many wounded, but please, you don't need to." "We're already committed, Administrator. Prepare your docking bay. We'll be there shortly." Couldn't believe what he was seeing. The human ship had destroyed one bioship completely. The organic vessel broke apart, leaking fluids into space. The remaining 4 were pulling back, regrouping for a stronger attack. "They're going to get themselves killed," someone muttered. But they didn't retreat. Instead, it accelerated even faster, heading straight into the formation. Species had excellent vision, but even he couldn't track the human ship's movements as it wove between the bioships, firing constantly. "Shields 1%. They are breaking off," the officer shouted. They're targeting the human ship instead of us." It was true. All 4 remaining vessels had focused on but the small ship continued its deadly dance, refusing to die. Another bioship exploded. "Who are these humans?" whispered. No one answered. They simply watched as their impossible saviors fought against creatures that had destroyed dozens of council stations. And somehow, impossibly, the humans were winning. The station's shields finally failed, but they weren't firing at them anymore. They had a new enemy to face. An enemy they clearly hadn't expected. The docking clamps connected with a heavy thud that echoed through Station 9's damaged corridors. Administrator stood at the airlock with a medical team, waiting to meet their saviors. Around him, other survivors gathered, curious and afraid. None of them had ever seen a human before. The airlock door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Commander stepped through first. His breath caught in his throat. She was tall, much taller than him, with smooth skin the color of light wood. But it was her eyes that made him step backward. They faced forward, predator's eyes, eyes designed for hunting. She smiled, showing white teeth, noticed how sharp her canines were. Administrator's voice was warm and friendly. She extended her hand, a gesture didn't understand. "I'm Commander, it's good to meet you in person." A translator nearby whispered the meaning of the gesture. A handshake, a greeting. Slowly reached out his thin hand and touched hers. Her grip was firm but gentle. Her skin was warm, much warmer than his own cold-blooded body. Behind, more humans emerged from They walked upright on 2 legs, their bodies built with dense muscle. Each one looked like they could break in half without effort. Yet they moved with easy confidence, smiling and nodding at the nervous aliens around them. "This is Captain Menu," said, gesturing to a broad-shouldered man with dark hair. "And our medical officer." Carried a large case of supplies. She was smaller than the others but moved with the same predatory grace. She set her case down and immediately began examining the wounded, her movements quick and efficient. "Your medical equipment is limited," said, scanning a wounded with a device. "But I can work with this. We brought supplies from our ship." "You're very kind," managed to say. "But please tell us, what are humans? We've never heard of your species before." Menu exchanged a glance with. Something passed between them, a silent communication that the council species couldn't read. "We're new to this region of space," Menu explained. "Earth, hour, is about 200 light years from here. We've been exploring for about 50 years now." 50 years? A engineer clicked in surprise. "You've only been spacefaring for 50 years. "That's correct. But your ship's technology, your weapons, how did you defeat the so easily? Minyu's expression grew serious. We didn't defeat them easily. We destroyed 3 of their ships, but 2 escaped. They'll be back with reinforcements. We need to evacuate this station within the next 6 hours. His heart sank. Evacuate, but where will we go? This station is our home. We're calling for additional human vessels, said. They'll arrive in 4 hours. We can transport everyone to the nearest council world. But right now, we need to secure this station and help your wounded. Another human emerged from the ship. This one wore a different uniform, marked with symbols didn't recognize. She had sharp eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Captain, I've completed the security sweep, the woman reported. Station structure is stable but damaged in 12 sections. No organisms detected on board. Good work, Sora, Minyu said. Set up a defensive perimeter. I want sensors watching for any returning hostiles. Yes, sir. Sora moved away with quick, efficient steps. Watched, fascinated, and disturbed. These humans worked like a military unit, coordinated and professional. But the council species had largely abandoned military development centuries ago. These humans acted like warriors. Commander, a scientist approached nervously. May I ask, what class world is Earth? Paused. We classify it as a Class 1 habitable world. Standard gravity, breathable atmosphere, stable climate zones. The scientist's eyes widened. And what is your gravity measurement? 1 Earth gravity. It's our standard unit. The scientist pulled out a calculating device, inputting numbers frantically. When she saw the result, her blue skin turned almost white. That's 1.2 standard gravities. You evolved on a high-gravity world. Is that unusual? Asked, looking up from treating a patient. Unusual? Most species evolve on worlds between 0.6 and 0.9 standard gravities. Anything above 1 is considered a death world. The stress on biological systems is immense. The humans looked at each other, confused. I guess we never thought about it, Minyu said. It's just normal for us. Normal? The scientist's voice rose. How do you even stand upright in such gravity? The pressure on your skeletal structure must be enormous. Well, our bones are pretty dense, explained. And our muscle mass is higher than most species we've encountered. It's just how we evolved. Suddenly understood why the humans looked so solid and powerful. They had evolved on a world that would crush most council species. Their bodies were built to withstand forces that would break us fragile frame. What else is on your world? The scientist asked. What kind of life evolved alongside you? Oh, all sorts of things, said casually. Large predators mostly. We had to compete with them for resources. Lions, tigers, bears, wolves. Some of them were much larger than humans. You evolved alongside large predators, could barely speak, and you survived. We didn't just survive, Minyu said with a slight smile. We became the dominant species. Humans are persistent hunters. We're not the fastest or strongest, but we can outlast almost anything. We can track prey for days until it collapses from exhaustion. The aliens in the docking bay fell silent. The concept was horrifying. A species that hunted by never stopping, never giving up, just following and following until their prey died from exhaustion. This explains so much, the scientist whispered. Your endurance in combat, the way you withstand acceleration forces. You evolved to survive conditions that would kill us. Another human joined them, this one younger with quick eyes. He wore a pilot's uniform. Captain, the is secure, he reported. All systems nominal, ready for immediate departure if needed. Thank you, Minyu said. Stay on standby. Noticed how moved. Light on his feet despite the solid build. The reflexes of a natural predator. He remembered watching the dodge weapons fire. No wonder the ship moved so well. It was piloted by someone whose ancestors had evolved to chase prey across hostile terrain. Commander said quietly, "Your people, are you warriors?" His expression softened. "We can be when necessary, but we're also scientists, artists, explorers, and builders. We prefer peace, but when someone threatens those who can't defend themselves." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The humans had come to help, but they had also shown the Council species something terrifying. They had shown them what evolution on a death world created. They had shown them what real predators looked like when they decided to fight. And they who had terrorized the Council for months had fled from them. Looked at its kind smile and gentle eyes. He saw the compassion there, but he also saw the hunter. And for the first time since they arrived, he felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. The alert came 3 hours after the humans docked. Sensors detected 2 bioships returning, this time with reinforcements. 4 more vessels traveled with them. 6 total. The odds were bad. Administrator watched Captain Minu study the tactical display without any sign of fear. "They're coming back stronger," said. "We should evacuate now before they arrive." "No time," Minu replied. "They'll intercept any evacuation ships. We need to eliminate the threat completely." He tapped his communication device. "Sara, prepare your team for boarding action." "Boarding action," his voice cracked. "You're going to board the ships. It's the fastest way to neutralize them. Destroy their control centers from inside." "But that's suicide. They are massive creatures. Their ships are filled with acidic fluids. No one has ever successfully boarded one." Minu looked at him with calm, predator eyes. "No one else has tried with humans." In the armory, checked her equipment one final time. The Marine squad leader was smaller than the male soldiers, but her eyes held the same dangerous focus. She wore powered armor, a mechanical suit that enhanced her already impressive strength. "Listen up," addressed her team. "Standard breach and clear. We go in hard and fast. Remember, blood is acidic, so keep your armor sealed. Wu, you're on demolitions. Plant charges on the bioship's core. You're our medic, stay mobile. You scout ahead." "Yes, ma'am," they responded in unison. Watched through the station's cameras as the humans prepared. Other council species gathered around displays, witnessing something no one had ever seen. A species preparing to voluntarily enter a vessel. "Are they insane?" a whispered. "No," the scientist said quietly. "They're predators. This is what predators do." They launched again, this time carrying a boarding craft attached to its hull. Piloted the ship with incredible skill, dodging plasma fire from the bioships. The aliens watched in amazement as the human craft spun and weaved through space at velocities that should have killed everyone inside. "How are they surviving those acceleration forces?" someone asked. "Their high-gravity evolution," the scientist explained. "Their bodies can withstand pressure that would turn our organs to liquid." The boarding craft detached from and flew straight at the largest bioship. Weapons fire filled the space around it, but its piloting was perfect. The craft slammed into the hull and extended drilling arms. "Breach in 5 seconds. His voice came through the communication channel that the humans had allowed the station to monitor. 4, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. The Marines poured into the bioship. The interior was a nightmare of organic walls and pooling fluids, but the humans moved through it without hesitation. Their helmet cameras showed everything, watched in horrified fascination. The first appeared around a corner. The creature was massive, easily 3 times the size of a human, with multiple limbs ending in razor-sharp claws. Its mouth opened, showing rows of crystalline teeth. Shot it 3 times before it finished roaring. The kinetic rounds punched through its organic armor. Acidic blood sprayed, hitting her armor and sizzling on the metal surface. "Keep moving," shouted. "Don't let them surround us." More charged from the organic corridors. The Marines fired in controlled bursts, their weapons creating a wall of deadly projectiles. When they got too close, the humans fought hand-to-hand, their powered armor giving them strength to match the alien creatures. "Contact left," called out. She spun and fired without slowing down, hitting a that had tried to ambush them. "Path ahead is clear for 20 meters. "Wu, how long until charges are ready?" asked. "Need 2 more minutes to reach the core," Wu replied. He was singing something in his native language as he ran. An old war song, the translator provided. The concept of singing during combat made the watching aliens shudder. The combat medic worked while fighting. One Marine took a claw strike that dented his armor, pulled him aside, sealed the breach with emergency foam, and injected him with something. 30 seconds later, he was back in the fight. "What did she give him?" asked. Standing beside him answered calmly. "Combat stimulants, adrenaline boost, pain suppressors, accelerated healing factors, standard military medicine." "His armor was breached, he was injured." "Yes, minor wound, he'll be fine." "Fine, he's still fighting." Looked at with patient eyes. Humans can fight through pain that would incapacitate most species. It's part of our evolutionary advantage. We don't shut down easily. On the screens, team reached a large chamber. The bioship's core pulsed in the center, a massive organic heart that powered the entire vessel. Dozens of guarded it. "Well, this is going to be fun," heard something in her voice. Excitement. Was she enjoying this? "All units weapons free," commanded. "Light them up." The battle that followed was brutal and efficient. The Marines moved like they had trained for this their entire lives. They covered each other, rotated positions, and never stopped firing. When one Marine ran out of ammunition, another covered while they reloaded. When charged, the humans stood their ground and fought. Wu reached the core and began planting explosive charges. He worked calmly despite 3 trying to stop him. Shot 2. Wu killed the 3rd with a blade without looking up from his work. "Charges set," Wu announced. 3-minute timer. "All units extract," ordered. "Move, move, move." The Marines ran back through the corridors they had cleared. More tried to stop them. The humans didn't slow down. They shot what they could and ran through what they couldn't. Stopped once to grab a wounded Marine, throwing him over her shoulder and continuing without breaking stride. "You good?" asked. "Took a hit to my side," responded, her voice tight with pain. "But I'm mobile, it's fine." "It's not fine," couldn't help shouting at the screen. "She's wounded." "She'll make it," said confidently. "Humans are very difficult to stop." The Marines reached their boarding craft with 40 seconds to spare. They sealed the hatch and detached from the bioship, was waiting with the boarding craft docked in 15 seconds. "Clear," reported. "All units accounted for." 5 seconds later, the bioship exploded from the inside. The massive organic vessel broke apart, pieces spinning into space. The remaining 5 bioships stopped their advance. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, they began to retreat. They turned and accelerated away, fleeing from the human ships. Silence filled the station's command center. Every species present stared at the displays in shock. They had run away. The creatures that had terrorized the Council for months had fled from a single human vessel. "They're afraid," the scientist whispered. "They are afraid of humans." His voice came through the communication channel. "Station 9, threat neutralized. All vessels are retreating. You're safe now." "Thank you," said quietly. "Thank you for saving us." "Just doing our job, Administrator." But it wasn't just a job. Understood that now. The humans hadn't saved them because of duty or obligation. They had saved them because it was right. Because when they saw others in danger, their predator instincts didn't tell them to hunt. Those instincts told them to protect. Watched the human Marines remove their helmets in the airlock, laughing and talking about the battle. Was treating wound, but both were smiling. They had faced death and survived. They had fought creatures that terrified the galaxy. And they had won. For the first time understood what humanity truly was. They were warriors born from a death world. They were predators evolved to survive impossible odds, but they were also protectors. Dangerous, yes. Terrifying, absolutely. But when they chose to fight for you instead of against you, there was nothing in the galaxy that could stop them. Nothing at all. The rescue ships arrived 4 hours later. 3 more human vessels, each larger than the. They came with supplies, medical equipment, and transport capacity for all of Station 9's survivors. As the evacuation proceeded smoothly, Administrator called a meeting with the human commanders and the Council species representatives. In the station's main conference room, 20 different species gathered. Some sat, some stood, and some floated in specialized atmosphere bubbles. Commander and Captain Minu represented the humans, along with 2 others hadn't met yet. This is, introduced a woman with intelligent eyes and quick movements. She studies alien cultures and biology. And this is, Minu gestured to a man carrying a digital tablet. Our historian. He specializes in comparative civilization studies. The scientist who had been asking questions earlier spoke up immediately. Commander, we need answers. We need to understand what humans are. Your species appeared from nowhere and defeated an enemy we couldn't stop. How is this possible? Exchanged glances with. We were planning to share this information eventually. I suppose now is as good a time as any. The stood and activated a holographic display. An image of a blue and green planet appeared. This is Earth, began. Before we explain anything else, you need to understand what kind of world created humanity. She pulled up data charts. By Council standards, Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Wait, an engineer interrupted. The Council classification scale only goes to 10. That's the highest survivability challenge level. Exactly, said. Earth exceeds your scale. The planet's gravity is 1.2 standard units. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which makes everything highly flammable. The planet has extreme weather systems including hurricanes, tornadoes, and blizzards that can kill exposed beings in minutes. Images appeared on the display. Massive storms, lightning strikes, floods, earthquakes. Earth has active plate tectonics, continued. The ground literally moves and shifts. Volcanic eruptions are common. Earthquakes can level cities. The planet also experiences dramatic seasonal changes. In some regions, temperature can swing from 40 degrees above freezing to 40 degrees below in 6 months. How does anything survive that? Someone whispered. Evolution, said simply. Earth's harsh conditions created incredibly resilient life. But that's not the most dangerous part. The most dangerous part is the biodiversity. New images appeared. Lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks, wolves, snakes. The Council species recoiled from the display. Earth evolved thousands of apex predators, explained. Creatures with claws, fangs, venom, and incredible strength. Humans didn't evolve in isolation. We evolved alongside these predators. We competed with them for resources. We were prey for some of them. But you survived, said quietly. We did more than survive. We became the dominant species. Humans developed tool use, complex language, and social cooperation. Our greatest evolutionary advantage wasn't strength or speed. It was endurance and intelligence. Pulled up a video of a human runner. Humans are persistence hunters. We can run for hours, even days, without stopping. Our bodies regulate temperature through sweating, which allows us to operate in extreme heat. We can track prey across vast distances. We don't give up, ever. That's terrifying, a representative said. It gets worse, spoke up, activating his own display. Let me tell you about human history. New images appeared, ancient weapons, castles, battlefields. Humans have been in continuous warfare for our entire recorded history, said. Over 10,000 years of conflict. We fought each other for territory, resources, beliefs, and survival. We developed increasingly sophisticated weapons and tactics. He showed images of swords, then guns, then missiles. We invented ways to kill each other from greater and greater distances. We created military strategies, combat formations, and tactical doctrines. War is woven into our cultural identity. We have songs about it, stories about it, monuments to it. But why, I asked, why would you fight your own species? Competition for resources, explained. Earth has limited resources and many human populations. Throughout our history, groups fought for survival. It wasn't evil or cruel, it was necessary. The strong survived, the clever survived, the determined survived. What changed? Asked. We learned cooperation on a larger scale, said. About 300 years ago, humans began forming global connections. We realized we could achieve more by working together than by fighting. It took time, many conflicts, and much suffering. But eventually, we unified. Not perfectly, but enough to reach for the stars together. Took over again. This is important to understand. Humans are predators shaped by a death world. We evolved to fight, to endure, and to never give up. But we also evolved intelligence and empathy. We protect our pack, our tribe, our species. And now, as we explore space, we extend that protection to others. Like us, said softly. Like you, confirmed. When we received your distress call, we didn't hesitate. We saw people in danger, and our instinct was to help. The scientist pulled up her own data. I've been analyzing the combat footage from the boarding action. Humans display pain tolerance far beyond any species in the Council. When injured, you continue fighting. How? Adrenaline, answered, standing up. Our bodies produce natural combat stimulants when threatened. Adrenaline increases heart rate, sharpens focus, and temporarily blocks pain signals. It's an evolutionary response to danger. You drug yourselves naturally, someone gasped. In a sense, yes, it's automatic. We also heal faster than most species. Human bodies can recover from injuries that would be fatal to others. Broken bones, deep wounds, blood loss. We can survive and heal from all of it, given time. There's another factor, added. Humans seek challenge. We have entire industries based on dangerous activities. We climb mountains, dive into oceans, jump from aircraft and race vehicles at high speeds. We call them extreme sports. We do them for fun. The silence in the room was absolute. The concept of seeking danger for entertainment was incomprehensible to most council species. You do dangerous things by choice, I asked, not for survival but for enjoyment. Yes, Minyu said with a slight smile. We like to test ourselves, to see what we're capable of. It's part of our nature. Added more information. Humans also have diverse cultures. We speak over 7,000 languages on Earth. We have hundreds of distinct cultural groups, belief systems, and traditions. This diversity makes us adaptable. We can learn new things quickly and adjust to different environments. But you're also young, said. You said you've only been spacefaring for 50 years. Most council species had thousands of years to develop before reaching the stars. That's true, acknowledged. We're new to space. We're still learning, but Earth prepared us well. When you evolve on a planet that's constantly trying to kill you, you learn to adapt fast. You learn to solve problems. You learn to survive. The scientist looked at her calculations again. I'm trying to understand the implications. Humans are predators from a death world. You have natural combat abilities, high pain tolerance, exceptional endurance, and 10,000 years of warfare experience. You're individually more dangerous than any species in the Council. But we're not conquerors, Minyu said firmly. We didn't come to this region to dominate or destroy. We came to explore and learn. We want peaceful cooperation with other species. However, added, We will defend ourselves and our allies, the threatened innocent people. That's something we can't ignore. Where we come from, predators protect their pack. The Council is now part of our pack. Felt something shift in the room. Understanding. The Council species had feared and wondered about these strange humans. Now they understood. Humans were dangerous, yes. Perhaps the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. But they were dangerous to humanity's enemies, not to humanity's friends. "What happens now?" asked. "Now," said, "we begin formal diplomatic relations. We share our technology and knowledge. We help the Council defend against and we learn from each other. Humans have much to offer, but we also have much to learn from species that have been spacefaring for." "Will more humans come?" someone asked nervously. "Yes," Minyu confirmed. "Earth has sent exploration fleets in many directions. More ships will arrive. We have colonies to establish, research to conduct, and friendships to build." Looked at the holographic image of Earth still floating in the display. A beautiful blue world that had created these extraordinary beings. A death world that had forged the most resilient species in the galaxy. The Council had survived for 3,000 years through peace and diplomacy. Now they had allies who understood war. Allies who had turned survival into an art form. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. 3 weeks after the battle at Station 9, Administrator stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Cooperative Council's central world. Around him, representatives from 47 species gathered to discuss the most important question their civilization had ever faced. What to do about humanity? The chamber buzzed with nervous conversation in dozens of languages. Watched the central platform where the Council's high representatives would soon appear. Beside him stood the scientist, whose name he had learned was Thera. She had become humanity's unofficial explainer to the Council species. "Are you nervous?" Thera asked. "Terrified," admitted. "Everything is changing so fast." It was true. In 3 weeks, the galaxy had transformed. The footage from 9 had spread across every Council world. Everyone had seen the human ship destroy vessels. Everyone had watched the Marines board an enemy bioship and survive. The recordings had been analyzed, studied, and discussed endlessly. Some species were afraid, others were excited, all were fascinated. "They're here," Thera whispered. The chamber doors opened. Captain Minyu entered, wearing a formal military uniform. Commander walked beside him, dressed in diplomatic attire. Behind them came a delegation of 12 humans, including, and several others didn't recognize. But what caught everyone's attention was the group following the initial delegation. More humans, dozens of them. Scientists, engineers, doctors, artists, and yes, soldiers. They filled the gallery section, watching with curious eyes. The head of the Council, an ancient named Al, stood at the central podium. "We gather today to discuss formal diplomatic relations with the human species," Al announced. "In 3,000 years of Council history, we have never encountered beings quite like them. Captain Minyu, Commander, please approach." The 2 humans walked to the speaking platform with confident strides. Neither looked nervous or intimidated by the assembly of 47 species. "Captain Minyu," Al began, "in 3 weeks your species has demonstrated military capabilities that exceed anything the Council possesses. You have destroyed vessels that we could not stop. Your soldiers fight with a ferocity we have never witnessed. Some in this chamber are afraid. They fear humanity will use this power to conquer. What do you say to this?" Minyu's voice carried clearly through the hall. "High Representative, I understand the fear. Humans are warriors. We evolved on a world that demanded strength to survive. But we are not conquerors. Earth's history taught us that endless war brings only suffering. We unified our world because we learned cooperation achieves more than conflict." "Yet you maintain a military force," a representative said. "Why if you seek peace?" Because peace must be protected, answered. The galaxy is vast. Not all species will be friendly. The proved that. We maintain military readiness to defend ourselves and our allies, but we prefer diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange. Al nodded slowly. You call us allies, but we barely know you. Then let us fix that, Minyu said. We propose a full exchange program. Human scientists will study with council researchers. Our engineers will share technology. Our artists will learn your cultures. We want to build genuine relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. And what does humanity want in return? Someone asked suspiciously. Knowledge stood up to answer. We're young by galactic standards. We have so much to learn from species that have been spacefaring for. Your mathematics, your philosophy, your art, these are treasures we hope to understand. You also want military alliances, another voice called out. Yes, Minyu admitted. They are still out there. They will attack again. Alone, the Council struggles to defend itself. Alone, humanity is too small to patrol such vast territory. Together, we can protect everyone. Thera stood up. If I may speak, High Representative. Proceed, Scientist Thera. I've spent 3 weeks studying humans intensively. I've reviewed their history, biology, and culture. Yes, they are dangerous. Yes, they are warriors. But they are also doctors who saved our wounded, teachers who shared their knowledge freely, friends who risked their lives to protect strangers. She pulled up a holographic display showing the medical bay on one of the human ships. Worked there with council doctors, teaching them advanced trauma techniques. Humans have already begun helping us, Thera continued. Not for payment or political advantage. They help because they believe it's right. This is not the behavior of conquerors. This is the behavior of allies. Stood as well. I was at Station 9. I watched humans fight creatures that terrified us. They could have fled. They could have left us to die. Instead, they stayed. They bled for us. Commander and Captain Minyu didn't save us because of duty. They saved us because when they see people in danger, their instinct is to protect, not to exploit. The chamber filled with murmured conversations. Representatives debated in small groups, saw fear in some faces, but also hope. The galaxy had lived in relative peace for so long that they had forgotten how to defend themselves. They had exposed that weakness brutally. But now they had met a species that remembered war, that understood combat, that could stand against threats the Council couldn't face alone. Al called for silence. Captain Minyu, what are humanity's intentions for expansion? We have 40 colony ships en route to unclaimed systems in this region, Minyu answered honestly. We're not taking Council territory. We're settling uninhabited worlds, harsh worlds that most species wouldn't want. High-gravity planets, extreme climates, challenging environments. These are worlds where humans can thrive. Death worlds, someone muttered. Yes, said with a slight smile. We're comfortable on death worlds. It's what we know. And military presence, Al asked. We propose a joint defense agreement, Minyu said. Human forces will patrol vulnerable regions, will respond to threats like the. In return, we request access to Council trade networks, scientific cooperation, and cultural exchange. We'll share our technology, including our weapons systems and combat training methods. You would give us your military technology, a representative asked in disbelief. Yes, Minyu confirmed. If the Council faces threats, we want you able to defend yourselves. We'll teach you what we know about combat, strategy, and survival. Not so you can conquer, but so you can protect your people. The chamber erupted in discussion. The offer was unprecedented. Species didn't share their best military technology. It was too valuable, too dangerous. But humans were offering it freely. Stood to speak. Humanity learned something important in our history. When you share strength with allies, everyone becomes safer. When you keep secrets and hoard power, everyone becomes vulnerable. We choose trust. Al studied the humans for a long moment. Then he looked at the council representatives. "We will vote. All in favor of formal diplomatic relations with humanity signify now." Lights appeared across the chamber. Green for yes, red for no. Held his breath as the count appeared on the display. 41 green, 6 red. "The motion passes," Al announced. "Humanity is welcome to the Cooperative Council as full diplomatic partners." The chamber erupted in applause. Not universal, some species still looked uncertain, but overwhelming. The humans smiled and bowed respectfully to the assembly. "There is one more matter," Al said. "We have a gift for humanity, a token of appreciation for saving Station 9 and its inhabitants." A holographic star map appeared, a region of space marked in gold. "These are 12 habitable worlds," Al explained. "Harsh worlds by our standards, high gravity, extreme weather, dangerous wildlife. The Council has surveyed them but never colonized them. We cannot survive on such planets, but perhaps humans can. We offer them freely as a gesture of friendship." Captain Minu's eyes widened. "High Representative, this is extremely generous." "You saved 2,000 lives at 9, Al said simply. "You asked for nothing in return. This is our way of saying thank you. Build your colonies. Make these worlds your homes. And from there help us defend the peace we all cherish." Commander stepped forward. "We accept with gratitude and humility. Humanity will honor this trust. We will be friends to the Council, protectors of the vulnerable, and partners in building a better galaxy." As the official ceremony concluded, made his way through the crowd to speak with and Minu. Around them, Council representatives and humans mingled, beginning the first tentative conversations of a new era. Administrator greeted him warmly. "It's good to see you again." "And you, Commander, I wanted to thank you again for everything." "You've thanked us enough," Minu said with a smile. "Now we work together, building something new." Looked around the chamber. Humans and aliens talking, sharing ideas, making plans. He saw discussing medical techniques with doctors, explaining combat tactics to nervous security forces, showing human art to fascinated students. This was first contact, real first contact, not just meeting but beginning to understand, beginning to build bridges between species from different worlds, different backgrounds, different evolutionary paths. "What do you think will happen now?" asked. Considered the question. "I think we'll learn from each other. The Council will teach us patience, diplomacy, and the wisdom of ages. We'll teach you resilience, adaptation, and how to stand firm against threats. Together, we'll be stronger than either could be alone." "The will return," said quietly. "Yes," Minu agreed. "But next time we'll be ready, all of us, Council and human standing together." Thera joined them, her blue skin bright with excitement. "I have a request. I want to visit Earth. I want to see this death world that created you. I want to understand where humanity came from." "You're welcome anytime," said. "Though I warn you, Earth's gravity will be challenging." "I'll adapt," Thera said confidently. "If humans can learn to thrive in space, I can learn to survive on your world. That's what cooperation means, yes. We meet each other's challenges together." Watched more humans enter the chamber. He saw their predator eyes, their powerful builds, their confident movements. 3 weeks ago, he had been terrified of them. Now he understood. They were dangerous, yes, perhaps the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But they had chosen to use that danger to protect rather than to conquer. They had extended their pact to include species they had just met. They had offered their strength freely to those who needed it. The galaxy had changed. The peaceful council had gained allies who understood war. Species who had never known real threats now had protectors who were born from a death world and shaped by 10,000 years of conflict. It would take time to build trust completely. Some would remain afraid. Some would resent human strength, but believed it would work, because he had seen something in Commander's eyes when she first arrived at his dying station. He had seen compassion. He had seen determination. He had seen someone who would fight to protect strangers, not because she had to, but because she chose to. Humanity had arrived. And for those who chose friendship over fear, the future suddenly looked brighter than it had in a very long time. The Council had survived 3,000 years through peace. Now, with humanity beside them, they would face whatever came next, not as victims, not as targets, but as allies, as friends, as partners in a galaxy that had just become a little bit safer and infinitely more interesting. Looked at and smiled. She smiled back, showing those sharp canine teeth that had once frightened him. Now they just looked like the smile of a friend. "Welcome to the galaxy," said. "We're glad you're here." "We're glad to be here," replied. "This is going to be quite an adventure." And it would be for everyone.